Yo, welcome into the BeBall Jones podcast. The goal of this podcast in my business is to bridge the gap, to fuel hoop dreams into impactful realities on the court and beyond. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the BeBall Jones podcast. And today, I have another trainer on here, guys. I'm not alone anymore. Like I have somebody else who teaches basketball for a living, man. What is a better job than teaching basketball for a living? Besides podcasting, that's like 1A for me. But I have somebody else up here that does the training half, guys. So I like for you all to welcome into the BeBall Jones family, Mr. Mark Kinnebrew. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And I'm glad you came, man. Like this is breaking ground for us, man. We finally got another trainer up here, man. Not too many that I've been able to get on the podcast, and you're one of the few, man. So I appreciate you taking time out to chop it up with me on here.
For sure. My pleasure.
So let's get into it, man. Like, okay, you're a basketball trainer, but tell the people about you and your business, what you got going on.
Yeah, like you said, I'm a full-time basketball trainer. Been doing this now. I've been training now for about 8 years since I started training 2015. I've been coaching at some level for 20 years, over 20 years. Kind of just right out of college. But I dove into the training space in 2015. Went completely full-time training. I think we're going on about 5 years now. About 4.5 years ago, I went completely full-time training. And where I'm at now, I've got a 10,000 square foot facility, and I hang out with kids and play basketball every day. So it's definitely a dream come true. Like you said, no better job.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I say it's the best job is because it's of course you get rewarded financially, like that. All right, that's cool. But for me personally, it's like the development in the kids that you see, like not just on the court, but off the court too. You get to see a player that you got in 5th grade, and now they're in 9th grade, and it's like I remember you were just a little kid from shy little 5th grader to now you can't close your mouth 9th grader, and you just run around the gym and you tackle me every time you see me type of stuff. I think that is really fun to see, man. But for you, what has been like the favorite part of training that you've witnessed in your years?
A lot of what you said, like that's definitely a big part of it. And I think when I started, a lot of those kids that started with me back when I started are those that started at a young age are now hitting that freshman, sophomore, juniors in high school, and to see the kids that stuck with it, it's pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
The most special part would be that my own kids got to grow up and be a part of it with me. So I have 4 kids of my own. So especially when I first started working 2 jobs, full-time job all day, and then doing the training thing after, my main job, it didn't seem as hard because my kids were in the gym with me. So I wasn't missing the family time trying to get this going. And now my youngest of 4 kids is now a freshman in high school. So he's part of that group that, like, back in 1st, 2nd grade when I started training, and now freshman in high school. And really to see where he is at, because he is my son, is so special. It's definitely the best part of it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me sometimes when people think it's all about the money, and in reality, man, you're not making a whole lot of money. It's not like you just rolling in dough doing training. Like it can be a grind sometimes, man.
Oh,
And
for
most
sure.
of us aren't full time. I'm not there yet being a full-time trainer. So when people think you're doing it as a cash grab and thinking you just scamming kids, and it's like, nah, man, you can't dedicate the time into this and be in it for the money. Like I know you see the 1%ers of trainers that are making a lot of money and they're like making millions and they're training pros, but that's not everybody. Most of us are youth level. Nothing wrong with that. I love the youth level. Most of us are at that
Yeah.
level. high school and some college players, and it's just funny to me sometimes. I'm like, oh, he's just in it for the money. Like, what money, bro? It's not that much out there, man. But
Yep.
that's one of the things that bother me, because to be in it as long as you have, and 5-6 years, it's like you don't stay in it for that long, be in it full time for the money. Like, I don't fully understand that, man. Can you make some sense of that for me? Because I don't get that.
Well, it's definitely not the reason to get into it. Um, from a business perspective, if you have your business set up right there, you can make a living doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if that's the reason you're getting into it, then it's definitely the wrong reason to get into it. And I think that starts to show just as a trainer. Like if you're someone that's just trying to get that money grab, you probably don't have that connection with kids and parents that you need to make this sustainable. Um, so the money side of it, I think if you're a good trainer, if you're a good person, you connect with kids, the money will follow.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to get into it for the money, it's definitely not the right reasons to be getting into it.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man, because like I said before, you're not making a whole lot of money. And to put in the time that it takes to get full time till we start actually do making money, before you get there, you're gonna like quit because it's not worth it in the beginning. You're putting in more hours and putting in more, the investment without seeing the return. So before you even get to the chance to get to the money, it's like you burnt out, or you just get frustrated and you quit. And it's like, man, I can go over here and make more money 9 to 5 or get a part-time job or whatever. And it's like, that makes more sense if you're in it for the money. So,
For
um,
sure.
can you explain what a day of yours looks like? You don't have to get too detailed. You can get as detailed as you want to, but what a day of yours look like, so people can understand what a full-time trainer day looks like.
Yeah, I mean this time of year with kids being in school, um, I spend a lot of my day kind of just waking up early till 3 o'clock when kids are out of school, doing a lot of the admin stuff, a lot of the business side of being a trainer. Um, I'm fortunate enough to have a home office, so I'm able to kind of just hang out at home. I wake up, drink coffee with my wife, um, and usually come in here and get to work. Start a lot of content is involved, I think, with the business side of it and keeping things sustainable. Um, so majority of I try to get a workout in if I can, but yeah, right now a lot of my day, morning till early afternoon, is handling the behind the scenes stuff, the admin stuff, everything it takes to run a business. And then come 3-4 o'clock, I'm actually in the gym working with kids.
And what about summertime? What's the difference in that schedule?
I'm at the gym a lot earlier, so kids aren't in school, and so I typically head to the gym usually by 9 o'clock. We'll start some personal training sessions. So those are off and on throughout the day. The one thing we have that's a consistent is our group training sessions that run Monday through Thursday. It's about a 2-hour time slot. So that's our consistent that runs year round. So we have those going on regardless of what time of year it is. The personal training stuff uh, with my trainers or with my players is what changes, just the times throughout the day. More
Mm.
camps. I travel quite a bit in the summers. Whether I don't do a ton of camps anymore. This last summer I did quite a few, but all the camps that I do are typically local. So I don't travel as much as I used to as far as doing camps. If players want to come train with me, then like you've got to travel to me now. I'm at a point in my life that I'm traveling to follow my kids around and what they're doing with basketball. So I don't travel as much as I used to, but just kind of depends what players I have, that what their availability is versus what mine is. But typically my days start earlier in the summer.
Hmm. So Do you have your own gym, or you renting out a space?
Um, Both. So I lease a space,
Hmm.
but it was a facility that was built for me. I was involved in the building process.
Hmm.
Um, but my partner, we have an agreement that I'm tied into a lease, so I don't have any expenses tied up into the actual building. So I don't own the building, but when it was built, all of my expenses came from everything inside the building, the floor, the baskets. But it's 10,000 square feet. And um, yeah, it just, the deal we worked out, it just made more sense for me to go the leasing route instead of trying to have any expenses into the building of it.
That's nice, man. Because you have the gift and freedom of basically having your own gym, which a lot of trainers, dream of, but you
Yeah.
don't have the full weight and accountability of having your own gym. Like, I think you probably have like the best setup that I heard of. Like, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked out well. But when I first started, I feel like I started the same way majority of trainers start, and that's jumping from gym to gym, using the YMCA, using whatever space you could. And then like my business took off in a space that was 1,800 square feet. Like we had
Mm-hmm.
it was a shop, had one basket, the court space was 60 by 30, and that's really where like my business grew. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just got to a point, and that's what allowed me to get to the facility that I'm in now. Um, but I was in that space for about 3.5 years, and just during that time, I feel like I put a lot of time and effort into learning the business side of it and how do you make this work. And so going to a lot of sales conferences, and like early on, I figured out there's, especially as basketball trainers, there's a sales side to what we do. Like, I think for a lot of us, we don't treat it like a business. We treat it more of like a hobby. And I think as soon as trainers understand like this is a business and you got to start treating it like a business, there is a sales aspect to what we do. And once you learn that, or once I learned that early on, I think is really when my business really took a turn, figuring out the pricing model, the structure, how things should be set up. Um, and so, yeah, early on, I spent a lot of time learning the business side of it and how to make it work because there wasn't a whole lot of resources out there when I started. There really aren't a ton out there now, but that's something that, like these days, I pride myself in helping other trainers kind of get to where I'm at. And so that's a part of, on top of training kids every day, like that's the core of my business. But I love helping other trainers get set up the right way and reach their dreams the same way that I did.
Mm. I want to get into that, but before we get into that, explain the mindset difference between treating training like a business versus treating it like a hobby. Like, what was the light switch flip that I was like, I've been training like a hobby the whole time. Now let's go business mode. What was the differences that you noticed?
Um, I think a lot of it's the behind the scenes stuff. Um, Actually having your business set up the right way, your LLC, having a landing page that has somewhere that parents can be like, oh, this is what you offer. Punch in a credit card, and now you're getting paid. I see a lot of trainers that on their Instagram is like DM me for training, or even outside of like within their DMs are collecting payments through like a WhatsApp or something like that. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but from a business perspective, it just doesn't look very professional. Shoot me a DM if you want to train, or gym space that's inconsistent. And a lot of times you can't control that, but I think that's something that trainers need to nail down is having a place that's consistent, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is, a week. If it's something consistent, you can really start to get your business rolling. But when it's a day and a time here and a day and a time over there, that makes it, the inconsistency of it is what makes it really hard to get into this full time. Parents are looking for something that's consistent. So just a lot of those things, a lot of those business things that once you set up the right way, once you get set up the right way, and again, you treat it like a business, things start to turn. And I think once you understand that there are ways to make very good money doing this, if you have it set up the right way, if you have your pricing structure the way that we have found to be very successful, if you have it set up the right way, you can definitely make good money doing this, and be able to jump into doing it full time.
Yeah, that's something that I struggle with in the beginning, as far as like having, like you said, set up a business versus set up a hobby. Because a hobby you can kind of play around with it, get it when you can. But business is like Walmart doesn't have off days. Like Nike doesn't have the off days. They're not inconsistent. That's what got them to this pinnacle and that point. So for me, when I flip that switch and it's like, oh, I'm running a business here. Like I have to be way more consistent. I have to be way more intentional.
Yeah.
When that light switch flips for me, it I don't know, it did something to me to where I just saw everything totally different, and that motivated me to get more consistent. I'm still in that struggle phase, hopping from gym to gym and getting space where I can, but I do understand the importance of getting that stability for the customer, or like the parent and player's perspective, because I know I can, like, it's a 15-minute drive to get to this gym. So I know I can plan around that. But if it's a 15-minute drive to this gym and a 35-minute drive to this gym, then a 5-minute drive to this gym, well, it's an outside court. So it's like, I don't know. So all these sketchy things just kind of bounce around. It's like, and you're a good trainer, but I don't know. So I've been dealing with that for a while, man.
For sure.
So how do I get to that phase, man? Help me out, man. What can I do to get to that next level of just like, man, get this gym space locked down so you can get, your business growing?
I think a big part of it is having the conversations with gym owners. I think up front, gym owners are just typically just want to rent out by the hour, first come, first serve type situations. But I think some conversations with gym owners, like I said, there's a model that we have set up called the 4-hour work week, which is how I started. But if a trainer can lock down 2 days, 2 hours, both of those days, I think you can do some pretty significant things with your business. And having these conversations with gym owners, and sometimes it might take offering a little more than what an hourly rate would be. Trying to get away from the hourly rates and go to a monthly rent, if they can guarantee you those specific days, those specific hours. So the consistency piece of it. So it can be a conversation with a gym owner and figure out what gym rent would be by the hour and add a little more to it to be guaranteed the consistency of it. Right. And so figuring out what that number is, and then breaking down your business model and seeing if that's doable.
Okay, and so that's what I wanted to get into next. Oh, go ahead.
That's definitely where I would start. If you can get the consistency of it, get those 2 days nailed down, 2 hours each day. That's all you need to get started, and you can definitely do some pretty special things.
Yeah, the business model is what I really wanted to get into next.
Yeah.
It's such a wild west when it comes to training business models, because training's been around for a while, but I think this level of basketball training is still very, very young. Like, we've maybe 30 years old, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's still very young. Like, to be full time with it is maybe 10, 15 years old of being able to do this. So I still feel like we're like in the wild west of like, there are truly no real rules or regulations around what it is to be a basketball trainer. Like there's literally no qualifications to become one.
No.
Somebody can wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? That LeBron James guy is pretty good. Let me try to
Yeah.
train somebody to be the next version of him. Or man, Asia Wilson, she's a nice hooper. Let me try to
Yep.
train some little girl to be like her. And like they can do it. Like you don't have to go to school like to be a PT. I had to go to school for a long time to be a doctor, to be pretty much any other job in basketball. You have to have some level of qualification. But training, wake up tomorrow and be like, you know, I'm a basketball trainer, and
Absolutely.
there's nothing against you
That's
being able
the
to do that.
beauty of it.
It's the beauty and the ugliness at the exact same time. But that's
Oh,
another
for sure.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's another conversation. We might do that at the end. But with there being no real structure behind it, a lot of us aren't understanding the business structure of it and how to set up the behind the scenes. A lot of parents don't fully understand that, hey, I'm doing this because it's a business, not a hobby. So how can we start with a business structure? Like what do we need to look at to say this is how I'm going to structure my business and not a hobby?
Well, typically the first thing we look at is how trainers have their pricing model set up. I think that's what's holding the majority of trainers back. And so, like you said, there's no schooling or anything on how to set this up, but the most common thing that trainers do is they have typically three options for pricing. They've got a one-on-one option, they've got what's considered a small group option, and then they've got a large group option. I mean, that's the most common setup. So your
Mhm.
one-on-one is your premium. I charge X amount for this. Your small group is 2 to 6 kids is probably the most common thing. I charge this price. It's going to be less per player because there's more players in the group. And then maybe you have a large group. Some trainers don't even have that large group. They've got a one-on-one. They've got a small group. And if you are offering a one-on-one, you can't do this full time. Like there's not enough time in a day and it's not sustainable. You've got to charge a super premium um, price to make a one-on-one worth your time
Mhm.
if you want to do this full time. But like to that, like we were saying earlier, if you're getting into this for the money, you're into it for the wrong thing. And if you're doing one-on-ones, think of how many kids you're not impacting because you're working with one kid at a time. And again, most of us don't have unlimited gym hours. I would say on average, guys have access to the gym 2 to 4 hours.
Mhm.
And for me, especially at my age now, like if 4 hours of training in a day is kind of my max, unless I'm doing like a camp or something. Uh, but I try not to pass that 4 hour mark. Just one, my body just can't handle it. Like I get that 4 hours of training in, and that's kind of my max. Some days I go over that, but I try really hard not to. Um, and so something we've completely gone away from is we don't guarantee a one-on-one. Like get one-on-one just out the window. We've gone to more of what's called a personal training model, to where I allow up to 4 players in my sessions, in those personal training sessions, but I'm still paying the same price as if it were a one-on-one.
Mhm.
So if my rate is $100 an hour for one player, like I've kind of transitioned that into personal training, it's still $100 an hour, even though there's 4 players.
Mhm.
And the thought behind that is I'm not a worse trainer because I have 4 players versus one. I'm pretty sure I can handle 4 players the same way that I could handle one. And a big part of it is getting parents to understand I don't have to be standing here staring at you for you to work on something. I can give you something to work on, and I can go 5 feet over here and help this other player. I can go 10 feet over there, help another player. I don't have to stand here and stare at you for you to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a big change in, I think, the business model and a lot of the trainers that I help. Like, let's get rid of the one-on-one mindset. Let's get rid of the small group mindset. Transition this into personal training. So we've got personal training and we've got group. That's it. I don't really have any in between. Because now I don't cap my group sessions. Sometimes we have, well, tonight one of our groups had like 4 players in it, but here in about a week that group will be like 30 players.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's been a huge transition, just understanding that model, and getting rid of the one-to-one mindset. And so like now, sometimes I have a one-on-one. Like sometimes it works out that way to where maybe I have a new player, or I have, just times don't work out with any other players. And so sometimes they end up being a one-on-one. I just don't guarantee a one-on-one.
Hey, hold on. Time out real quick. We're going to get back to the episode. I know you're enjoying it. I know you're enjoying the show. But I need you to help me real quick and to make sure that this episode can grow, make sure this podcast, the show can grow overall, and you can keep getting great guests like this. Make sure that you subscribe and follow along. So if you watch right now on YouTube, help me out by hitting the subscribe button. Go ahead and do it real quick. If you're listening in your car, chill out for a second. If you're on Apple or on Spotify, just like when you get a moment, hit the follow button, but not right now while you're driving. If you're working out or something, or you're chilling in your room, then go ahead and subscribe with me. Like, help me help you, okay? But thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. I'm gonna stop interrupting so you get back to the episode. Thank you.
If I charge $100 a session for one player, like if someone even wanted to throw one-on-one in there, like if they just demanded, I want a one-on-one session, I would give them a $400 price point for an hour, because that's what I would be getting with all 4 players that I had in there.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, which is a crazy price. Like, I'm going to give you this outrageous price, take it or leave it. And I think for the most part, like, kids just get better when there's other kids with them. They might push them harder, like, and there's a lot of times, depending on the player, like some kids are just awkward and quiet, and like some sessions just with one kid, and I still have them now. Like I said, sometimes I do just end up with a one-on-one. I just don't guarantee them. There's just some kids like you don't connect with, and it just becomes a very long hour of a workout. So it's always, but those types of players, that only happens once, and then I make sure I put them with with somebody else. But
Yeah, that's funny that you said that was the structure because I was actually thinking of leaning towards doing something like that. Especially for my situation because I don't have to guarantee gym time, and you got players playing different sports, and so it's kind of tough to do the whole individual, small group, large group thing. Nothing's guaranteed at this point, so I'm like, all
right,
right, I'm gonna be at the gym at this time. If you can come, cool. If you can't come, cool. But this is what I'm charging because it's one flat rate. I don't have to sit here and okay, this is my first package and that like that's too much. I'm like, hey, this is what I charge. Take
yep,
or leave it. You know what I mean? That makes more sense for me, and it just simplifies the communication.
for
The
sure.
least amount of words I can use to communicate what I'm offering, the quicker you can make a decision, the quicker we can negotiate. Not necessarily negotiate, but have a conversation about what's going on. Um, and I think sometimes when you do too much of that, the parents don't fully understand. Well, okay, well, if you're doing this price, then what happens if this happens and this and that? I'm like, bro, like, okay, $5. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Can you work with me? Like, so I think that makes a lot more sense. Not say it's a perfect business model, but for me, that where I'm at right now, that makes the most sense. So, um, when it
yeah. I
comes to
mean,
pricing, oh, go ahead.
well, it kind of has to be for any trainer. Like I said, like with a landing page, here's what you offer, here's your price. If you want to
Yeah.
come work with me, have a spot for a parent to put in a credit card and then go train. Once you can have a lot of that stuff set up, then you get away from the negotiating, you get away from even having the conversations about money. Um, having something something I talked to trade, because the conversations about money and the negotiating piece, that can be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's someone right? Those conversations they can be very uncomfortable. And so something I did years ago was I I set up a support team email just through my business support team. And so when anytime anyone has any of those admin type questions, it's like, shoot us an email here. My admin will take care of it. Now my admin got a name. My admin might be me responding to it. When you're a one-man show, it probably will be you because you're wearing all the hats. But having that admin, regardless of who it is, if it is you, that's fine, but they have a different name, it still gives you that space of like, we're not going to have this money conversation right now. If you have a question about something, shoot us an email, to our support team or whatever it is. If you have questions about a refund or cancellation, like shoot us an email. Because typically you're going to get these conversations while you're at the gym when you're trying to train anyway. And you don't have time to deal with it. Like you're trying to work with kids. I don't have time to have a conversation about money situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really helps trainers just get away from that awkwardness of having a conversation. Shoot us an email, we'll take care of it. So it's almost like setting up. I don't want to say that you're lying about having a team, but you're putting yourself in a position to have a team.
Mm-hmm.
And so now when you have this set up and you do get to a point of hiring a VA or someone that can handle that side, you've already got them plugged in. You just give them access to that email. So I think it's just something as simple as that really helps you to start to run a business, and it give a feeling of it's more than just you. And then you get to a point of forming that team, someone to handle the admin stuff for you. It's already set up.
I like that. I think I'm gonna have to take that one. I like that one. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the money talk is that's probably the most uncomfortable conversation, because it kind of gets to a point where most entrepreneurs understand, especially if it's like something that you actually care about. When you actually deal with the business hobby, juggling thing, it's that you end up having to have a conversation around your worth or your value.
Right.
And it gets frustrating when you have to negotiate that sometimes, and you feel like that's a debate. It's like, did you not see what I just did? Like,
right.
What are we talking? You know what I mean? That conversation
Yep.
gets uncomfortable, especially as a beginner, and the whole debate around entrepreneurship is charged with your worth. And that's a whole other conversation in itself.
For sure. And I think it's a little harder in our space because our customers are parents, but our clients are kids.
Yeah.
And so I think especially for us, like that makes it that much harder, because our customers who we're dealing with on the financial side are parents, but we're working with the kids.
Yeah.
And so it makes it that much harder on the sales side of it, and just having that money conversation of what you are worth.
Yeah. And it's tough because a lot of times you grow such a strong attachment with the player that when the money conversation comes up, it's like, man, I really like little Bobby, man. Like, I wish I could keep working with him. Like, I see so much potential. And especially for us, it's like, Bobby ain't got the money, but he can hoop. Susie, she got the money, but she probably should like go to band or
Right.
math class or something, because she doesn't have it. You know what I mean? And that's a tough, very tough juggle for. I'm pretty sure you dealt with that, in your space, but I know I deal with that a lot now, and it's tough to juggle that because, like I said before, you're building to grow to do it full time, and at the same time, you have the give back mentality if you want to support the people who can't afford it, but you still have to charge what you're worth on the
Right.
other end of it. So how do you balance the pricing scale? Because you have the different levels of player, the different, levels of parents that have the money to afford. So how can we look at and understand from a trainer to parent to understand the pricing and why the pricing is this?
Um, well, I don't think you ever need to have that conversation of like it's this is why it's priced like that way. Like I don't think you have to justify why you think you're worth what you're worth. Like that conversation just doesn't need to happen. But I do think, like, especially as depending on the facility situation and what you have set up, having those opportunities for kids that can afford it to still train, I think is huge. Um, and so even going to like the personal training model, I've got a couple kids that I do this with right now, allowing 4 kids into it, up to 4 kids. So maybe you have 2 or 3 kids that can afford it that are in it. And on this day, you've only got 3 scheduled instead of 4. And you know this because you're scheduling things ahead of time. And so you're able to, call little Bobby like, hey, I've got an opening on this day at this time if you want to come work out. So situations like that, that's a little harder to do, because if that becomes a consistent, then they are taking somebody's spot. You are technically losing money. But if it's a situation where you know you're not going to fill that spot, and it's like you can plug a kid in there that maybe can't afford it, that's a great opportunity to do it. The other thing is like I said at the beginning, is our Monday through Thursday big group sessions. That's our consistent. It's set up on a monthly. It's a monthly membership basically. Those sessions aren't capped. So like I said, some days we'll have 4, some days we'll have 34. Whoever shows up that day shows up. So having something set up like that really allows us to plug in those kids. It's what we call scholarship, being able to scholarship kids. You can't afford it. I know you can't afford it. These are the groups that I can get you into. Cost you nothing. Your grade goes this day at this time. Now that becomes, again, same situation. That becomes different if you cap your sessions. So if you're a trainer that caps your sessions and you're scholarshiping kids, and they are technically, assuming they sell out, all the spots get filled, they are technically taking somebody's spot. So then that puts you in a situation of losing money. But if you don't cap your sessions, and it doesn't matter if you have 20 kids in there or 25 kids in there, now you're able to scholarship kids in. And so that's something that I do, like as far as donating to other programs, other causes. I'll give a year membership as a donation, to different organizations, and that just allows them, to auction those off. I think it's like a $1,700 value or something like that, but it allows them to auction it off. It doesn't, again, it's not taking any more of my time to offer that. The sessions are going to happen no matter what, and it's not costing me anything scholarshiping that out, donating it out. So having something set up like that, and I didn't start that way. Like I said, I didn't get to that point probably till year 2, maybe year 3, when I quit. It was after year 1 that I quit capping my workouts. One, I didn't have the confidence just to take on whoever showed up. Like, I wanted to know exactly who was going to be there. I didn't feel like I was good enough of a trainer to handle, at the time, more than 12 kids. Like, I capped my sessions at 12 kids. I didn't feel like I was good enough of a trainer to handle more than that. And now it's like 35 kids show up, let's go. I'm good. I'm much better at handling big group sessions. It's just like having a small camp for a day, for an hour.
Mm.
So definitely took some time to get there from a confidence standpoint for me as a trainer. But I think having something like that set up allows you to get those kids in that can't afford it.
I like that too, man, because I've kind of juggled with that, and you give the homeboy hookups to some people, the HBO special, help a brother out, offers, and it's like you start taking a couple L's up here and there. You try to, I like this kid, and you want to give somebody a discount because you work twice a week at this price. It's going to be a lot, but all
Yeah.
right, for you, I give you a discount, and I've had a lot of stuff happen to me, man. In the beginning, I've been burnt a couple times by empty promises and a lot of stuff done gone wrong. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good method to have, to where if you can establish to where you have, you can count on X amount of money coming in for this hour, for this session, then you can
Yep.
give a little, you're able to give a little more freely, and give the hookups and the special, like you said, scholarships and stuff, to where you can quote unquote give back now, so
For
I think
sure.
that's a great method and a great model. But what's something else that you've learned throughout this time that kind of you changed your perspective when it came to training and came to the business side of stuff?
I think going to kind of a membership model. So when I first started, it was kind of just pay for this month or pay for that month, pay for this session, having like packages set up. I think things really changed when I went to more of a membership model. So everything is based on a membership. It's all prepaid. So you know how many members you have, you know who's coming when, you've paid ahead of time. And so what that really helped with, one, as a business, again, you know how much money you have coming in. You've been paid ahead of time. And so now, as far as the training goes, you don't have to worry about whether or not kids are showing up. I think a lot of times trainers either take cash or they wait to get paid afterwards, or they'll schedule sessions without being paid. And especially if you're renting a gym, if you're renting space by the hour. So you've already paid for your space and now you're hoping kids show up.
Yep.
That makes it very hard to run your business when you're hoping that kids show up.
Mm-hmm.
When you flip that and things are paid ahead of time, unfortunately, now I don't really care if you show up. From a business perspective, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this to help kids, to work with kids, but financially, you've paid me. We're good. Now let's get to work. So if you decide to skip out, like, that's on you. And so again, having a lot of that stuff just set up on the back end to where parents are plugging in a credit card, let's get to work. And then
Yeah.
if kids don't show up, depending on the situation, that's their loss. Especially if you're paying for a gym by the hour.
Yeah.
And parents have to understand that. If I just paid $50 for an hour for this court and you didn't show up, like, that's on you. Especially if you didn't let me know. If you just no-showed, because that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot I had a session. Well, that's your own fault. Like, and I think a big part of just me as a mentor and working with kids, something we really try to help kids with, like, this is 100% on you. Mom and dad can get you to places. Me as a trainer, I can show you a lot of things. I can give you a path. I can give you a path that I feel like works, but it's up to you if and how you take that path. And getting players to understand that nobody's going to do it for them. Players start to take things a little more serious.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that, man. I know at some point when I got my own gym, that's the model I was gonna go with. Can that work with someone who doesn't have their own space, like a guaranteed space? Can the membership model still work?
Um, yes, it can definitely still work. But I think you do have to have some consistency with where you're training.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be one location. It doesn't have to be. I think you have to have something somewhat consistent of where you're going to be at, the hours that you're going to be there, and then it can be, and then you can run with the membership model. Um, how that membership model is set up is dependent on the time that you have in the gym and the amount of days that you have. Like I said, you get the 4 hour work week that we have set up is based on 2 days, 2 hours each day. And again, this is exactly how I started. 12 players. I had, so let's just say it's a Monday, Wednesday, and I had a session from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock that was like third through fifth grade.
Hmm.
12 players in that session for $150 for the month. At this time, it wasn't a membership model; it was a per month model.
Hmm.
Um, 12 players in the session, $150 per player. And then the 7 to 8 o'clock session was 6th through 8th grade. That's another 12 players. So now you got 24 players for the month at $150 per player. I think that's $3,600 a month. My math is right. So that's the model.
Hmm.
That's working 4 hours for training 4 hours a week, making $3,600
Hmm.
minus your expenses. So depending on what 4 hours of gym costs you, obviously you got to take that out. And so when I started, I was fortunate enough to be able to get 4 days a week.
Hmm.
So I had those 2 days, and those 12 spots in each session sold out right away. So now I'm turning kids away, and well, what else can I do? Well, let me talk to the gym owner. Let me see if I can get Tuesday, Thursday as well. So now we added 2 more days. So now it became an 8 hour work week. But now we're training same model. We just added 2 more days. So you can sign up to come train Tuesday, Thursday, or you can sign up to come train Monday, Wednesday.
Hmm.
But now I'm training 8 hours a week, making $7,200. With at this time, I was still paying by the hour for the gym. We eventually got into a monthly rent, and I think I was paying like $2,000 a month in rent for that 1,800 square feet.
Hmm. Man, that's
But still, like at 7,200, my rent was $2,000. I'm still making over $5,000 a month
yeah,
for 8 hours of training, and it like light bulbs were just going off. Like, this is crazy. I'm doing
yeah.
something I love. And at this time, I was still working a full-time job. Like, I was working all day, and then I was in the gym for 2 hours after that. And like I said, it was great because my kids were there, but I started making more in those 8 hours a week than I was in my full-time job. Like, this is
Hmm.
crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, that's the model that I started off with, and then got more comfortable with bigger groups and had more access to my facility. So when I went to that 2,000 a month, I had more access to that space. So I was able to add the personal training model and start adding some different things. So we were, I think, probably by year 3, because I was still in that facility. On average, we were between that 7,000 and 10K a month. And at the time, I had brought on one other trainer. I had one other trainer that was helping run the group sessions. Because at that time my kids were getting older. Like, I got into this so I could be more involved with my kids. I'm not missing their games. So
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time my oldest daughter was in high school. Um, like I'm taking those nights off. I'm going to games, and so I brought on another trainer to really just cover specifically those nights. Um, and then as trainers get better, they start doing their own personal training stuff, and now I've got, I think I have four trainers here at the facility that I'm at that I have here. Um, but I've got three other locations around the state that trainers are running the program.
Mm. You're doing it big, man. You got a nice setup at your own gym. You got trainers working for you, multiple locations, like you.
We're getting there, and that's,
Yeah.
on the business, like any business, because again, because we have so much going on, people think you're making crazy money. Like, no, I'm still trying to figure out, how to cover that rent on a 10,000 square foot facility and
Mm-hmm.
everything else that we have going on. So a big part of it is, being able to plug in some other programs and whatnot. Oh, there, that came back. But yeah, that's part of the entrepreneurship side of things is figuring it out. Like we've got these
Yeah.
expenses, we've got these bills. Do I need to do an extra camp this month? Do I need to do a clinic this month? Like, that's just stuff that you gotta figure out how to add other programs, and that can help cover the bills.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the mindset I've been gearing towards of like figuring out more and more to, like you said, when you flip the switch to being a business, you have to really figure out more ways to deliver value
Yep.
to get more money.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, when I first started, I was the big one-on-one guy because I was all into the details and I want to give you all of my attention because I like the smaller, intimate stuff. But
For sure.
then I started to zoom out. I'm like, well, they're not getting as much benefit and as much value as they can against playing simple one-on-one or three-on-three. It's like, okay, let's do more small group stuff. So a little bit less personal. I still do it because of the space and clientele, whatever the behind the scenes, logistics that go into it.
Yep.
But overall, it makes sense on the business side and on the player parent side to do more small group stuff. So that was the big game changer for me um, when I started to shift towards doing more of that. And I think that, of course, I've heard, I forgot how I heard it or where I was looking at, listening to, whatever. But they're like, "Oh, you're just doing it for the money. Like you're only pushing more small groups for them." And I'm like, when you're playing basketball, there are 9 other people on the court, right? Like, so how are you just going to get better? This isn't golf. This isn't
Yeah.
tennis. This isn't swimming where it's just you against time, you against whatever. You have competition. So in what world does it not make sense to have some level of competition out there? Yes, of course you make money. Like obviously, like come on, guys. Like we're not just dummies out here just twiddling our thumbs, praying for money to fall from the sky.
Right.
But it makes the most sense basketball wise to do more than one player in a session.
For sure.
And then, like you said, you have the awkward kids, like the social, aspect of it, the leadership aspect of it, the small soft skill that you pick up on being in a small group like that. You might have not had any friends. You just moved to this town, but going to these sessions regularly, like going to your personal training sessions, I done developed, 6 other best friends now because I started training with the group. So I think that that kind of frustrates me sometimes when people poke holes about things within the training business. Like that's not even like the full scope. That's probably like 2% of why this is going on in this round. And I know that's one thing for sure that frustrates me. It's like that's not a money grab thing. It just makes
Yeah.
sense to do that.
Oh, for sure. And I think you can always come back with, one, we're not in it for the money, and you want to impact as many kids' lives as possible. And like I said at the beginning, if I'm doing one-on-one and I only have the gym for 2, maybe 3 hours a day, that means I worked out with 3 kids today. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That 3, with our model, if it's personal training and I allow 4 kids, I impacted 12 kids' lives today instead of 3. And that's the bottom line of it. And like I said, if I think it does when you get past that 4 players, that's kind of the mark we've always used. Because again, I'm not any worse of a trainer because I have 4 players or 3 players versus 1.
Yeah.
I didn't just magically become, you're still getting me. And again, it doesn't matter if I'm standing in front of you looking at you or not. Like, you still have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
If I've given 4 of you some instruction on what to work on, I'm good enough of a trainer to stand here and help all 4 of you. And you should be motivated enough as a player to keep working on this while I'm standing over here.
Yeah.
And that's just conversations that just have to be had with parents, like, because they'll ask, like, well, I want it to be one-on-one. Well, one-on-one's not the best thing for your kid. Like, he'll
Mm-hmm.
get better with more kids in it. And I don't go away from that. I don't offer a one-on-one. If you want a one-on-one and you want to pay $25 with the guy down the road, like, that's fine. That's going to be everywhere, like, regardless of price. But this is my price. I don't guarantee a one-on-one. I'm well worth it. If you want to pay it to find out, great. If you don't, then don't. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you'll always find another trainer. So that's just something. And again, just to that point, I want to help as many kids as possible. And in order to do that, one, I have to be able to make money doing it.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee a one-on-one. If I'm making more money, I can help more people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the bottom line. If you're making more money, you can donate more, you can have more sponsorships. You get to that 10,000 square foot facility. Now you can really help kids.
Yeah.
You just more opportunity. And it's not that I'm making all this money, because the bigger you get, the more expenses there are, the more just get into more stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we started doing well, and then we added a shooting program, bought 4 shooting machines, and like, it's always something. We're looking at building another facility, like an hour and a half away from me. It's always something. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I do want to get into, this is probably my least favorite part of training, and it's become a thorn in my side to have to do this part. But it's also very beautiful. It's like a rose, and it's the content half.
yeah,
Um, I just can't stand having to be on social media,
mm-hmm.
posting and having the phone out during sessions. I can't stand. Like, I'd much rather just lock in and just train, because that's what I like
Yeah,
to do.
100%.
But I understand the game you have to play. Of you have to show what you're doing in sessions and post it, because that's how you market and grow the business. So, how are you with content? Like, I can't stand it, but whatever.
I need to get better at it. Um, I'm at a point now, like, to where I understand just how important content is, for any business. And I think it really comes down to, we're just at a day and age, like, any I find myself doing it anytime I go anywhere, especially if I'm out of town. Like, I'll be in Dallas next week. But if you're somewhere new, if you're looking for something new, or if you're looking for training, like, the first thing you do is go to social media.
Yeah.
Like, let me see what this business's Instagram page is, or their Facebook page, or let me Google. Like, that's just the first place you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have a presence on social media, if people don't know who you are, you're not going to make any money. And the more people see you, the more people feel like they know you, they trust you, the more apt they are to train with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm still amazed. I've been in North Dakota since 1993. I played basketball growing up. Like, just my family is the only Kinnebrews in North Dakota, and just on the basketball side, like, just the name, my family just known in the basketball space. But I'm still amazed. I had a lady that just was in my gym the other day because her son played in our 3-on-3 league. She had no idea that we offered training. We had a training session going on, and she was returning a 3-on-3 jersey. And she's like, well, what's this going on? And I'm still amazed. I've been doing this for 8 years. I'm on social media, and there's still people. There's Bismarck, Mandan, my area is only 90,000 population. It's not ginormous city.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm still amazed that there's people around here that have no idea I exist or what I do. And so, like, just to your point, like, the content is huge. Like, I definitely think you've got to be posting content. Like, I think it and this is just something just as of late, because I'm really getting into the content side of things. Like, content should be first. If you've got the content, then you're able to market. The marketing brings the sales. Like, it's just, you have to start with the content. And the more people trust you, the more apt they are to work with you.
Yeah.
And so the easiest way to do this, because we get so detailed in our training, and a lot of trainers feel awkward having their phone out. The easiest way to do this, I don't go through a session without my phone out and recording. I record all my sessions, like, all the time. But what we do is we use what we're recording to show players. I've got TVs in my gym everywhere. If you don't have TVs, just show them on your phone. But this is just within our training philosophy, and what we do, we show players on our phone, on the TVs, what we're looking for, what they're missing, because sometimes they just need to see it.
Yep.
So if we're working on a specific footwork or whatever we're working on, and I can see where they're messing up and they're just not getting it, let me record it. Let's go to the TV, point it out. With that, because as you get better with it, you're recording for two purposes now, right? You can record it for content. There's some things that you're really wanting to see, like, just record with what you're training. Record it for content, but also recording it to take them, to show them what's going on. And so that's the easiest way. That's the easiest way to do it. And then you just get comfortable having your phone out and recording, especially if you're truly showing them something. And so I think, like, parents in my program understand now why I always have my phone out. I have an app on my phone. There's a lot of things I'm looking at. If I've got some new players in the gym or some parents I don't recognize and I have my phone out, I will for sure make sure I take them to the TV so I can show parents, like, this is why I had my phone out. I'm not just standing here on my phone.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. Just being able to record, again, to help the players with what we're working on, but also being able to repurpose that content and, make videos from it.
All right. Okay. Another time out. Okay. Look, if you got to this point, you have to be enjoying the episode. Like, you have to. At this point in the episode, you're enjoying it. So help me help you. Just, if you're on Apple right now and you're on your phone, okay, just take your phone, press the subscribe button. It's right there. Just do that with me. Even if on your laptop, take your mouse, boom, click over, boom, do your thing. Now you subscribe. Now you linked in, because you don't want to miss the next great episode that I have. But doing stuff like this helps the episode grow, makes the show grow, and the podcast grow, so I can keep getting great guests and keep doing great interviews. So if you listen on Apple or Spotify, take a second, look at your phone, press the follow button, okay? And share with a friend or two. because you'll find the value in this. You want to have this conversation with your friends so they can have the same value. Now the whole basketball community can grow. All right. Thanks for listening so far. I'm gonna get out your way. Let's get back to the episode. Appreciate you. For me, man, I've kind of got into a place where I do feel like the social media game is kind of overrated. Like I just, as much as I agree with you that content is everything, I agree with everything you just said. But I still believe that there's a piece of the old school. If you're great enough, they'll find you. I still believe that there's a level of truth to that. And if you're in an area and you're a great trainer, like, okay, like players always think they have to post all this stuff on social media. It's like, bro, if you can hoop, they're not going to go anywhere and not find, like, bro, if you put up 30 every night, they're going to be calling trying to find you. Know you are like,
Yeah, for sure.
I believe the same thing happens for a trainer. If you're getting kids to college, word's going to spread around enough to be like, hey, you, the Kinnebrew guy, like, you heard of him? Yeah, take a kid over there to him. Like, he's
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely.
So
No,
that's
and
kind of,
like if you look at my social media pages, I don't post a ton. Especially because I'm the same way. Especially because that's been a hard part because my kids have been a part of it, and I don't necessarily like just always posting stuff about my kids. And so a lot of the stuff, I'd say 99% of like my training videos don't have me in it. Like it's just the kids training. I went through a period of where they were kind of just highlight music videos. And then I went through a period to where they were more instructional, I guess, kind of pointing out a little more of what we're working on. A lot of some of the content that I post, I used to do a live show once a week that was geared towards youth sports, parents, how parents act, stuff like that. So that's kind of what it was called, Courtside with Kinnebrew. So a lot of the stuff I post are kind of shots like this, just me talking like this about youth sports and stuff like that. But I definitely on the content side, like it doesn't always have to be players training, but you should be posting stuff just about your business and getting it out there. But again, I don't post a ton, but it's just like I said, it blows my mind that there's still people that don't know that we offer training. Like we're the biggest training company in North Dakota, and it's mind blowing. It really is. It really is. So it's like, I don't know. I got to get on Facebook more, and that's the other thing. Like back to parents being our customer and players being our clients. Majority of parents will probably be on Facebook, where your players are who's on Instagram. So trying to balance what you're posting, where you're posting stuff, because a lot of times just posting training videos on Instagram, like that's not always getting you anywhere.
Yeah.
But posting more meaningful stuff about kids and whatnot on Facebook, more branded stuff towards what you do and what you offer, not necessarily kids working out, could definitely take you a lot further in the content posting side.
So help me out, man. I'm trying to get like you. You got like 10K followers on Instagram, man. Help me out, man. Like, I'm trying to get in your level and get like up there on my Instagram numbers, man. So how can I get on your level? What do I need to post? What did you post to get to that level, man, with the social media following?
I don't really know. I mean, it really took off. I don't even know who a lot of my followers are anymore. It's a mix of players. It's a mix of players, parents, and trainers. And like I said, I get a lot of kids just within the state that, I mean, we're fairly well known. I've got 4 kids of my own that are great basketball players. My 2 middle daughters, one's a freshman, one's a junior in college. Like they'll be playing together this year. Super excited about.
That's dope.
So I think a lot of it just my name in North Dakota. I've got 4,000 followers, I think, on Facebook. So I think a lot of it just kind of from all over just helped it grow. I'm part of the BTA, which is the Basketball Trainers Association. I'm part of I'm Possible with Micah Lancaster. So a lot of that just comes. So just in the kind of in the training space, I have a lot of trainers that follow me on there. And again, just over the years, I'm very passionate about helping other trainers learn the business side of being a basketball trainer. I think there's so much there that some small fixes that trainers can make to really start to succeed and get to a full-time space in the basketball training business.
So what's like the biggest thing that you've seen throughout your mentoring phase of like trainers keep making this mistake? Like, why are you guys keep making this thing? Or you keep making this mistake over and over? What's like the number one thing, or like the most frustrating thing that you see is just like, come on, guys, like let's learn and get better by doing this.
Man, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of just back to the one-on-one model. Like I think that's big. I think the one-on-one model and maybe feeling like you have to have so many baskets to be successful. I think a big thing that holds trainers back is the dream. And this is something I talked about a couple of years ago at a conference that I was at. But the dream, like I feel like what I have right now is what majority of trainers, like that's the dream, having the big 10,000 square foot facility, call it your own. You've got your branding, like that's the dream. And I feel like a lot of trainers let the dream stop them from jumping off the cliff and just going all in with it. Like you don't need the big 10,000 square foot facility to get started. You don't need a ton of baskets to get started. Like I started with 1,800 square feet in one basket. We eventually added 2 baskets in that small space, but I would work 20, 30 kids in that small space. And it was, I think, again, that's something that just holds trainers back, is feeling like one trainer can't work out 20 kids by themselves and it'd be productive. So I definitely think just stuff like that is, and the dream, thinking you need the big facility. Because I talk to a lot of trainers and it's always like, well, once I get this, I can do this. You know, once I get my own place, then things will really take off. And I think that's backwards. Like if you're a good trainer and you're connecting with kids and you're doing things the right way, things will take off. That'll help you get the facility. But if you're trying to get the facility first and then try to make it work, that's backwards. And I think a lot of places go in debt and shut down. You see a lot of these places get these big facilities, a lot of baskets, and a lot of these guys are just businessmen. You know, big facilities, lots of baskets, and then they try to find a trainer to make it work. Like I've seen quite a few facilities like that shut down. And like it doesn't quite work that way. If you're a good trainer, you're in it for the right reason. You start to get things set up the right way. The money follows, the facility follows. Like that just takes some time. But putting the cart before the horse, I think, holds a lot of trainers back.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that I remember hearing about, and kind of thinking through, like, that's probably like the kiss of death for most trainers, is like like you said, putting the cart before the horse and getting way in over your head. It's like, why do you have like a 6-court facility and you have like 10 players? Like,
Right.
that's not, unless you have 10 NBA players, then it's like, why are you doing that? And
Yeah.
ever since then, I've been making sure to not to be scared to go forward, but making sure it makes sense. Like, I can't go from 1 foot in the pool to 10 feet, like
Yeah.
1 to 4 feet. Okay, that's a little, it's a big jump, but can you handle that? Maybe. We'll see. Okay, 4 to 8. All right, a little more dangerous, but it makes more sense. Now you go from 8 to 10, it's like, okay, you can for sure handle this now. But you might get to 6 feet and realize I don't even want to go to 10 feet. I'm cool with going to 7 at best. So that's one thing I've been thinking through when it comes to business models and what is the end goal for my training that I want to get to. And I definitely don't want to have like the big, huge court facility. So it helps me reconcile my steps or rethink the plan and the vision to get to that goal. So
For
I
sure.
definitely can understand that. And like
And
the one player model doesn't work for me either. So
yeah. And even, I mean, on a smaller scale, and I did this when I started, is like, I think a lot of trainers feel like they have to do everything, the athletic performance, the weight training. Um, and I think a big mistake that a lot of trainers make is they start buying the shooting machine. Oh, if I had a shooting machine, like that would be great. The Vertimax. Those are the two purchases that I made when I started that were like a waste of money.
yeah.
Like especially the shooting machine. Yeah, they're convenient, but kids aren't kids aren't coming to train with me because I have a shooting machine,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's convenient to have, but kids aren't coming to see me because I have one. And that was one of the just I still have that shooting machine. It's collecting dust in my facility, but it's like it wasn't making the business money.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those. The same thing with the Vertimax. I just thought it would be cool to have. Like that was just one of the first things that I got. Oh, I could do this with players and I could do that with players. Yeah, that didn't ever happen. That thing sat and it's still collecting dust. It's and that's just not my expertise, the athletic performance side of things.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever add that and a trainer wants to tackle that, we've got a Vertimax if you if you want to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are probably two of the mistakes trainers make, um, feeling like they need to do everything, be the
Mm-hmm.
athletic performance guy, be the weight guy, be the trainer, like which nothing wrong with that, but like
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm a skill enhancement trainer. Like my expertise is just skills. Let's dig into the skill side of things.
Yeah. I'm one of those guys that do a blend of both, the performance training and the skills. But
Yeah.
like you said, there's nothing wrong with that because that's what's more of my model of what I want to do. But I think the another issue is it's kind of two-sided when it comes to this. It's either not taking the business half serious enough or not figuring out the balance of both. And you end up training but not making money, which goes back to the hobby philosophy that we were talking about earlier,
Yep.
or you don't do enough of the business, like the back end side and the admin stuff, like you were saying earlier, like really thinking through, okay, if I have 2 goals, I can operate business like this. If I want to have 6 goals, I can operate business like this. If I want to do small group, if I want to do large group, if I want to do like this, if I want to do that. Thinking through all of that and thinking through, okay, maybe I'm not good at business. Let me have a business person. Let me have somebody who can take this off my plate. And I just do the court stuff. I think the more we become self-aware of what the end goal is and who we are right now we can start to be a lot smarter and make better moves business wise and basketball wise because like your skill enhancement, all right, performance trainer over there, or I'm just basketball business guy over here. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing I've learned too is like, bruh, like speaking of that, I'm a one-man show. Anybody want to help me out with this podcast? Talk to me. Anybody want to help me out with some training? Like we can talk and figure something out. I don't want to be a one-man show. I've been holding this down for too long.
For sure.
I can't guarantee you get paid, but we working to get there. But Real
Yeah.
talk.
And I think a big part of it is um, being willing to put yourself around other trainers, other people that are where you want to be. Like
Mm-hmm.
really taking the leap to invest in yourself. Whatever it is. Like if you need to learn the business side, and this is what I did when I first started. If you need to learn the sales side, get close to people that are good at sales.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself in those positions. And so when I first started, one of the first things I noticed, there's a sales side to what we do. I need to learn a little more about sales because I know nothing about sales.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Grant Cardone sales boot camp in Miami. Bought a ticket. Let me go check this out. Grant Cardone at the time didn't know he was Mr. Sales. So I go to this boot camp. I'm in a conference room with 300 salesmen. They're all in suits and ties, and I'm there in my sweats and hoodie, so out of place. Like basketball trainer in a room full of sales guys. Like it was super awkward, but I learned so much.
Yeah.
And it was just such a cool experience. And I think kind of from that time on, I've always been willing to just put myself in situations that just got me close to learn from whoever I needed to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was on the training side or it was on the business side. So Michael Lancaster is one of my mentors. He's one of my good friends now. But like when I first started, I was going to every event that he was doing. Like, let me buy a ticket. Let me put this on a credit card. I can't afford it. I'll figure that out later. Like, but I'm gonna go again. This is back when I first started. So like, he's doing a camp here. I'm gonna go check this out. And it would literally be like me hanging out, volunteering my time. If they needed to help, I was there to help. But it was just kind of watching guys train and just soaking it all in. And that's really how I got better as a trainer. And I did the same thing on the business. And this is just stuff you do as an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah.
now I'll be quick to buy a ticket and go to a conference and be like, I want to learn how to do that. Let's go check it out. Or just getting in different communities, different groups that are online. Like it's typically a monthly membership. You pay for coaching. I think that's something that trainers need to understand. Like we preach it to kids all the time. Like you need to invest the time, you need to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But us as trainers aren't as likely to do it.
Yeah.
Like spend some money, invest in yourself, become a better you, whatever that is, whether it's your health, whether it's becoming a better trainer, whether it's the business side. You got to invest in yourself if you want your business to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really important, man. It's it's just as important because it's like you said before, if you really care about the craft and care about what you're doing, then why not go in your business gym or go in your trainer gym and develop your craft and get better?
Yep,
And
100%.
that's kind of where you easily start to separate yourself. Like you can tell when I've been in times where I've been standing to watch someone else train because I'm just kind of like a nerd for like this. Like I try to steal something from anybody, and if you're a trainer in the gym, I'm probably going to be like, okay, I like that drill.
Yeah, for
How did
sure.
you explain this?
Yep.
Okay, got you. You said what? Oh, I never thought about that before. I like that analogy. Taking that one too. So I don't care who you are. I'm taking something from you.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's more of like I learned to make sure I don't do that because that's something I used to do, and it's like, how are we still doing? Like that's still like the philosophy we're teaching kids. That's still the way we're. All right, cool. You haven't learned much in the past X amount of years, have you? Because certain stuff has been outdated, and we've seen that this new way of doing things is a little bit more effective, a little bit better. Um, and so I just started to understand that it's important for me to continue to develop and grow no matter what level I get to because I can't I can't be that guy in the gym that's like, yeah, BeBall, he kind of old school, man. He hasn't learned in the past 10 years, man. He's still doing stuff from 2005, 2003. It's like, come on, B. So
Yeah.
that that's been on me to like always keep going and develop my own craft as a trainer, entrepreneur, all this stuff.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, man. If you had to pick one, training other trainers, or would you rather stick with training the players? Like, if you had to pick one, like, gotta split one off, and you just gotta do one or the other, which one would you pick?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I knew it would be.
I love working with kids. Like that's just um I think if it were today with where I'm at in my life, like I would pick kids easily.
Mm-hmm.
At some point I'm not going to be able to do this at the rate that I'm doing it, just not getting any younger. So then, at some point I think it'll be trainers, but I also feel like, back to my point of wanting to impact as many kids as I can. I do feel like the more trainers that I can help also contributes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a sense, going the trainers route, like that's still helping kids. And I'm going to do both for as long as I can. But if I had to pick one right now, it would definitely be kids. I've got grandkids. I've got 2 grandsons. So like my oldest grandson's 4. And so like it won't be long. He already comes to the gym with me. So it's kind of full circle, and now starting with grandkids, and it's pretty surreal.
Mm. I didn't think you're that old, man. Like you got some. You look young, bro. Like
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And then, I mean, hanging out with kids playing basketball every day, it'll do that. Like that's keeps you young.
yeah, I tell my friends that that's kind of like my hack to not get old, because I'm around like 13-year-olds and 15-year-olds. Like they're gonna
Right.
keep me up to date with stuff. I'm like, because I can be kind of a recluse and kind of be in my own world, especially doing podcasts and entrepreneurship and stuff. Like I tend to be off, and I'm just an introvert. I'm good by myself too, so I tend to be in my own world. But being in sessions, I'm like, I feel old because I feel out of touch. Like, bro, I did not know that was the new thing. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean? But they keep
Yeah.
me up to date for the most part. So I appreciate them because they save my life sometimes, man.
Yeah.
It's funny doing that, man.
Good stuff.
But yeah, man, let the people know if you're a trainer trying to work with you, where I need to go. And if I'm a player in Dakota, one of the Dakotas, like even South Dakota, y'all can go up to North Dakota and get some work with
Yeah.
him. But let the people know where they can reach out to you at, man. How can they get in touch with you, and anything else you got going on?
Instagram's probably the easiest way. It's Mark _ Kinnebrew. Especially trainers that are looking to reach out. Right there in my profile. We've got a free community called Hooperpreneur. That's you can find that in the Instagram profile. But there's some free stuff in there. Got a lot of players that DM me on there as well. You can find markkinnebrew.com. Like there's easy to find to come work with me.
Yeah, just look up the last name. That's all you gotta do, guys.
Yeah, it should be that easy.
Yeah, but anything else you want to leave with the people before we get out of here, man?
No, not really. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on. For trainers, looking to do this full time, it starts with investing in yourself. Like that's really where it starts. And for any players that are listening in, like it's like I said earlier, there's trainers, parents, we can provide you a path, but it's always up to you if and how you take that path.
Mm-hmm.
There's no trainers out there with a magic wand we can all lead you down the path that we think is right, that we think is your best path, but it'll always be on you. And that's the same for trainers, like just in life.
Mm-hmm.
It'll always be on you if and how you go down those paths.
Well said, man. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, drop a comment below. If you're listening on Spotify, on Apple, any other of these podcast platforms, just do the same thing. Show some love. Give 5 stars. 4 star and below aren't allowed. If you think I'm 4 star, that's cool. Just go ahead and give me 5 stars anyway, because that's the rules. But I appreciate you for listening to this one, because this man gave a lot of game. You feel me? Like, I got excited
Appreciate
because I
it.
got another trainer on here, man. I don't have a lot of those guys on here, man. So this is some real game right here, man. This is real training. This is behind the scenes. We gave you guys a peek behind the cloth of like what goes on in trainer world over here, man. Y'all don't get this too often. I don't hear
Absolutely.
too many other trainers doing that. So you welcome. So just show me some love and give me 5 stars and a like and a comment and a share. It's all free. I have to pay for doing this stuff, but you get it for free. It's a pretty fair exchange if you ask me, man. But that's it, man. You can follow me on social media at BeBall Jones. That's BeBall Jones. Instagram, Twitter/X, Threads too. I'm over there. Um, I got another YouTube channel. I got a lot of stuff going on. Just Google me, BeBall Jones. I'm the same way. Google my name. I'm pretty findable. Um, did it on purpose too. So I think that's
Absolutely.
it. Oh yeah, and on Fridays, you guys got to check out my Hoop Gym show. Just quick little mental games, guys. Like, the mental game is everything. Your perspective, how you see the game, the way you think through stuff. Nothing happens without a thought. So if you can really change your thoughts and rewire your thinking and see things from a different view, the game can change too. So that's what Hoop Gyms is about, man. Give you a little motivation, change perspective on the game, give you some mental how tos, and just help you guys out with that. So every Friday, dropping Hoop Gems episodes. I'm like 5 minutes long. Like, it's really like, come on, bro. You got 5 minutes for me. It's simple, easy. But that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.